Montana.
While you're watching the big game, our team is hard at work getting the news you need ready for a special Sunday edition of Fox Montana News. We'll have all the local news and weather you need to start your work week tonight on Fox Montana News at 9:30.
I'll break down the game.
Your first late news on weekdays, but tonight, join us for a special Sunday edition. Big news for hikers and travelers. Montana State Park is announcing more people visited state parks in 2013 than ever before. The two were convicted of murdering Knox's British roommate Meredith Kircher in 2007. Knox was sentenced to 28.5 years in prison, but 2 years later, the verdict was overturned. Does driving in these sorts of weather conditions ever get easier? Tonight, our Atlanta native, Taylor Thompson, takes us through her journey to become a better winter driver.
You want to touch the brake, but then it's like, no.
Don't touch the brake. All right, well, we'll need that kind of advice with this weather, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, semi-spoiler alert, Zoo Montana's Ozzie the Bear makes his selection for the champion of Super Bowl 48. But before you blow off this bear, if the Broncos win the Super Bowl, Ozzie will be 2 for 2 when it comes to making bold Super Bowl predictions. He chose last year's Super Bowl winner correctly.
Wow. All I can say is wow. But
with news of 2 lawsuits filed against the Diocese of Helena, we're now learning the church is filing for bankruptcy. Some new designs are on their way to Montana roads, with the Motor Vehicle Division announcing the release of 5 new Montana license plates and 4 that have been redesigned. Well, don't let those new plates distract you too much. Of course, you'll still want to practice the necessary steps when crossing the street, including looking both ways and avoiding jaywalking. But not this weekend. It's Super Bowl Sunday, which can mean a lot of good food, fun, and company. And we'll have much more on the Super Bowl coming up later in the show, including a look at this year's commercials to ways you can eat healthier during the big game. So make sure you stick around for that.
That's when I usually don't eat healthy during the Super Bowl.
Well, I'd say if you get a pass, that's one of the days that you get one.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Weather Authority forecast. Emily?
Thanks, Micah. It almost seems like we're switching temperatures with the Northeast now. All right, let's check in on some Super Bowl fun. Lots of folks were out in celebration of the big game. And for some folks, we're talking several days of planning for this very night. Let's check in with Fox Montana's Joe Moeller. He gives us a look at Boston's Super Bowl party just a moment. Ben Kaplan joins me now for sports. A huge night for the NFL, but the Super Bowl, not really a super game.
And Emily, I think a lot of people surprised by that because they expected it to be an evenly matched game, but the Seahawks obviously looking pretty darn good.
Well, you know, the way I think of it is we label these two teams as the best of the best, so I'm thinking the matchup should be head-to-head the whole time, not 0 points most of the game.
You were bummed. You know,
it was pretty bad.
I was drowning my sorrows with a bunch of chips and salsa. You know what I'm saying?
Some say it's long overdue, but one of music's most recognizable voices finally getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. More music from Amy Winehouse, the Potter universe expands, and You'd Better Call Saul in tonight's Entertainment Update. Welcome back. I'm Emily Scarlett with tonight's Community Spotlight. Dancing with the Stars Great Falls is coming up Thursday. Martin Fleck is here to tell us all about this year's show, which I'm so excited to be taking part of this year. Good to see you, Martin. I'm going to try something new tonight. That's all for this evening's Community Spotlight.
Yay!
There are the songs.
Suicide is painless.
The PSAs.
1 in 10 high schoolers seriously consider suicide.
And then those left behind.
Tyson, I love you so much, and I don't know how I'm going to go on without being able to and listen to your voice anymore.
Brad and Peg Nimick adored their son Tyson.
As a young guy, he was always a fun kid to be around.
But it seemed Tyson dealt with the stresses of life much more severely than his peers, even at a young age.
He would worry about things most grade schoolers wouldn't, and so that I would check with other mothers. Do their children, do their little boys worry like this?
This stress continued into his adulthood, causing depression and ultimately alcoholism.
I think after he had that first drink, that first
experience,
it
numbed him.
It numbed him for
so I thought,
while,
I can get rid of this. Yeah. Probably not even cognitively, but just he knew he felt better.
And after battling his demons for nearly 15 years, Tyson put an end to his pain permanently New Year's Eve 2011.
He hung himself with an electrical cord.
Today, Brad and Peg say they refuse to let their son's death be in vain, speaking about their son's suicide to a group of nursing students at Great Falls College, MSU, in hopes of preventing further tragedies.
There are things that you can do as caregivers to be there for people and not judge. Stigmas with addiction, right? Stigmas with mental health issues.
There's real people behind some of the difficult things that we see as nurses, and just to remember the people inside of those behaviors.
The Nimics are hoping that both nursing students and people at home realize those suffering from depression or alcoholism are still human. They're someone's son or daughter, brother or sister. And so instead of judging them, reach out to someone who may have lost their way.
You can make a difference with someone's life.
Brad leaving the students with an emotional letter he wrote to his son after his death.
I hated seeing you in your misery and wanted so much to make it better. I think about what else I could have done for you, but realize that nothing could have stopped the final solution. You chose to stop the misery that ultimately overwhelmed you.
For ABC Fox Montana, I'm Emily Scarlett. Toby Magruder is a two-time national adult fiddle champion. Her music is where this story begins over 20 years ago at a mini mart.
She would come in the mornings to get a pop on her way to work, and I was going to ask her out the next time she came in because she was caught my eye, and so she never came in again.
But a chance meeting at Willie's Saloon where Chris was taking free dance lessons set these two on a path some may call fate.
I made sure I told him I was playing in a band the next Wednesday, so maybe I would see him again.
And they did. And after going on their very first date, 42 days later they were engaged. 3 months later they were married. But the marital bliss didn't last long.
I had a real fiery temper. He's really even-keeled. I'm typically the one that fights.
11 years into the marriage, the two reached a breaking point, and like a sign from God, Chris learned their church would be offering marriage encounter. Toby and Chris were lost, but it was here at this church that they were able to reignite the flame they never thought they'd find.
So realizing that I loved him, right days after I met him, and I still loved him. Yeah. Our whole world is all about my happiness and what I need and what I get from people. That's what's important, and that's not what's important.
We left Sunday night holding hands, and it's been 12 years since then, and we're still holding hands. So. Today,
Chris and Toby say there are still arguments and things aren't perfect, but they're a stronger couple because of marriage encounter.
You have to stop asking yourself, how can I get them to be what I want, and start thinking, how can I be what they need?
For ABC5, I'm Emily Scarlett.